who were both like fanatic fans of Golden Girls, and I think we, I think we chose this because it's such an interesting point of subversive conversion. So there's a lot of different places where those on the outside dwell, and there's not a lot of places where we get to cohabitate together and grow strength in numbers. And I feel like Golden Girls was one of those places. And so for that reason, I asked a group of poets, and some of them drove tremendous miles to be here. So thank you for being a friend. And so I'm just really excited for this evening and to be here with you guys and share this space. Let's see. So I'm going to invite the first poet up, but just as another sort of intro to why we're here, if I were to grow old with anyone, it would be poets. And so I think that's also the reason why I'm fascinated with poetry. So I hope that we all grow old together and come up with new, hilarious adventures. So with that, I'd like to invite Hilda.
Thank you, Nicelle, for inviting me. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And I have 2 poems. I'm going to start with a poem to like stretch your poetry wings and just enjoy. It's called In the Center. In the center of the room was a box, oblong, like a mobile home, with its top cut off. See how it expands in the mind? I saw inside the box, not a shoebox, not a chicken cage, not leftover cardboard from a new plastic-wrapped refrigerator, but inside the corrugated metal siding, painted blue, a pastel flat paint, not glossy, not new, not original. My friends, the poets, busy, opening fold-out tables, arranging books, bookmarks. I heard them laughing. We're ready, someone said.
Thank you for being a friend.
The Golden Girls. Think of the kaleidoscope of colors in a garden through the year. The grays and blacks of bare branches and rain. Wet, brown dirt. Pale blue of a misty morning. The range of greens from chartreuse to olive, and blues from silvery dawn to azure to midnight blue to black. Rose magenta, the color of love. And all the pinks, the reds, blood red, fire engine red, scarlet. The oranges, seedless navel, and the Valencia from Spain. California poppies. Then the faded colors. The kaleidoscope turns through the duns, the bronzes, the browns, splashed occasionally with summer reminders, lavender aster. Now, white clouds rising, cumulus into storm, purple thunder, blinding gray sheets of rain. The colors continue. Turn the kaleidoscope. The jewels are all there. Friendship is like a kaleidoscope. Not just the people, the characters in your life, but every moment. At first, that is, in the opening moments of the first episode of The Golden Girls, I wanted to be Dorothy. She was like me, blunt and bossy. But then, you know, Rose and I looked Yes, wanting to breathe, to step out. And Sophia, well, every glib blunder, she and Irma Bombeck and me, we just put on our purple hats and go out to have fun with the world. How can they all be, how can they each be so right, so perfect, those golden girls, like colors in a garden, changing, surprising, making me laugh, sometimes making me cry. Thank you.
She looks so good in her fan car. We have Hanna!
Hello. I thought this was old-fashioned. But I'm so thankful to Hilda for hosting this event and being such a beautiful person and educator. Okay, I will read 3 poems. The first one is related to Golden Girls. Lost female orgasm according to Golden Girls. You don't like the feeling of being watched while writing about sex on a train. It takes time to talk about humping bodies with friends, to admit to wanting sex without marriage or babies. There are so many pockets to store things in the body. You aren't sure where your diary is. Dorothy wasn't sure they had done anything until 9 months later when the baby came out. Tightness in the vagina dampens your ability to breathe. When laughter is played, a smile turns insincere. When the vagina is dry, sex breaks. Can I help you find the sound of water dripping from tulips after a storm? An orgasm is a sensual beast hiding in the shadow of a god. It took 5 years before Rose knew what made her eyes go back in her head. Blanche doesn't remember the name of the man she lost her virginity to, but she orgasmed many times. Does it matter how far the clitoris is from the vagina? It's only a matter of time before the vibrator disables laughter. Your finger sinks between your thighs while some blurry figure pushes into the opening. The mind is either too calculated or too empty. Lower your expectations. Practice thinking about thinking and see how horny you get. You fight to keep your friends, but they leave you for lovers. You reach for Golden Girls, but the television screens porn. The next one was from by Davis, and it's called Love Defined. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm not affectionate enough towards my friends in poems. Okay. Movies define love as fucking. There's nothing more personal than being that close to fighting. I mean changing. When I say change, I mean decreasing my dosage of medicine. I mean antidepressants make me cry. I mean invisible. I mean my friends leave me for boyfriends. I mean phones. When I say masturbation, I mean power. When I say memory, I mean God, help me live while dying. I mean I love you. I mean go fuck yourself. I mean give me your dick first. I mean your hand. I mean where's my phone? It's impossible to be faithful to everything at once without not existing. I mean I want to touch you. I mean skin on sand. Okay, this is called Nowhere to Flesh. Sir John Harrington was exiled by the Queen for writing body poems. He returned with a toilet that flushes and a poem translated from Italian to English. Outside in the cold, I crouched next to a tube. I volunteer myself to die a little and entertain silent relief. I pee and say hi at the same time, but only when my lips are so close to the ground that if I cry, tears won't land anywhere. Something on the loudspeaker isn't audible. No one communicates in the dark at 6 a.m. Water feels like breathing if you look at it for a short enough time. In 100 years from now, people won't pee. They'll stay in their shells, rocking back and forth, until they hit into each other and start laughing into wolves' mouths. See all the people walk away when you close your eyes, and let water run through your legs. Sometimes the sensation of peeing leads to an orgasm. While a man texts me at 1 a.m. for sex, while my mom's boyfriend slowly dies of cancer. There are rules about being human. What comes in can't always leave.
You know how that happens? Yeah, when you show up, you're like, oh, it feels good in the body. Next up, we have Bill, who might do his mom's teeth for us. We'll see.
I'm going to forego the microphone. She's asked us to read 2 poems about friendship and 1 poem about golden curls. So, I don't know how many of you made friends with your mothers-in-law, if you had one, but I did. And her name was Sophie Miller, and she was from Brooklyn and grew up her mother worked in the needle trades, sewing things, and the needle trades union built their housing. That's where my mother-in-law grew up. And this poem is called Killer Art. And I met her when she was maybe 65 years old, and she worked for the New York State Women's Prison System, teaching art. And I said, Sophia, you're 65. She said, I lied. And she told them she was 54 when she started, so that she could get a decent pension from the state of New York. And she was 64, but back then they didn't check ID.
You can't get a 5-year film right now.
Sophie, this one is for you. Killer Art. Cy Twombly is at MoMA, my mother-in-law Sophie announced. I'm going. Sophie taught art in women's prisons. She got furloughs and bused prisoners to the Met, the Frick, the Guggenheim. She strolled in, copper earrings, silver bracelets clanking and glinting in the pinpoint spots. I'd never seen Cy Twombly's pale canvases of Latin words and clouds of blood and oil. I put on my readers, and on the lower corner of one canvas was a pale wash of gray. Twombly had drawn a graphite flock of tiny penises and buttocks squirting and shitting, like what I drew on my 8th grade Bible history workbook. I blurted out, Cy Twombly draws dicks and ass. A crowd gathered thinking I was a docent. Of course he does, said Sophie. He's known for that. All male artists do that. At home in Yonkers, Sophie showed me her students' work. On the back were stickers, property of New York State Women's Prison System. I bring these home, she said. Otherwise the guards throw them out. Above her medicine cabinet hung a painted plywood tiger. Sophie, who did this? Oh, she shot her husband, Sophie said. Did 10 years for it. She was talented as an artist. This is called Empathy, which was published in the smallest poetry book that I've ever owned, literally the size of a matchbook, where this wonderful publisher would publish a poem and then send you 10 copies. And I still have one of them. It's called Empathy. I do this thing lately with how I see a person. I imagine what I'd find if I peeled back their face. Behind their mouth, behind their eyes, bone, gristle, fear, need, the ability to love. They are not the enemy. Poets and poetry promoters in the world, where every event is theatrical. I went to Out of the Closet and brought the appropriate costume for B. Arthur. The closest I got to B. Arthur was I worked for about 5 minutes with Betty White one time.
Did you hate her too?
Did you hate her too?
This one is for you. And Out of the Closet, I said to a woman, I really need a plus size, you know, like a nightgown or a muumuu or something. She took me right to this hand. I've developed quite a reputation over the years for leaving. I left Maud in '78, Golden Girls in '92, and The Goddamn Planet in 2009. Maud was not my favorite character. There was so much man-spreading on that show, I stopped having sex with others. But Norman Lear, oh, he was great. He gave Maud an abortion. So talented. As a writer-director, too. But my favorite character was Dorothy. Dorothy Zabornak. And boy, did I get bored with her. The writers developed a knack for fucking her up. Oh, they did everything they could, but we kept slipping off a ratings cliff. Dorothy was witty, Rose a moron, Blanche a slut. Sophia, there are a few 4-letter words I could use for her. Oh yes, we had issues. Oh, Betty White was lovely. Even when she took months off to shoot toilet paper and Kotex commercials. And the jokes, oh, they took a toll on my character. Make love to Dorothy? Climb on top of her, she's so big you can see New York, Connecticut, and New Jersey. Huh, verkackte Pastutnieks. It's Yiddish for pigs in the writer's room. This happens to actors. I go to sleep as B, wake up as Dorothy. B, Dorothy, over and over for 7 goddamn years. The cells in your ho-ho change every 7 years. Oh, by the way, this is a prose poem. So the show died in the 90s. But there was hip-hop, dancing, cocaine, snorting. I'm joking, I don't dance. And that Golden Girls reunion, oh, I stayed home to treat my herpes. Betty White said the show ended prematurely, like a late Hudson's climaxes. Why did I leave the show? They said it was just my time. Time? That show had as much time left as a cherry bomb with a fuse clipped. When I died, dear Betty White spoke at my memorial. She said of my passing, I knew it would hurt. I just didn't know how much this would hurt. How do you think I felt?
So the only person that could follow that act would be Terri. Terri can follow that act. Watch her break your heart.
So this is the not so golden girl. See which one this is. One good thing about old age, there is nothing good about old age. It's the land of subtractions and vanishing acts. But there are some things that make it bearable. For one, it becomes harder for people to deny you your creature comforts. In fact, they act as if you're entitled to them merely for staying the course a little longer than your peers. You feel chilly? Crank up that thermostat to 82. No matter the season, and heating bill be damned. Go on, breathe feel the burn. Your roommates will just say, oh, poor dear, she's cold. Translation, she's old. And you no longer need to be a slave to fashion. No push-up bras and pinchy heels for you. Wear what keeps you cozy and comfy. Pastel sweaters and non-skin shoes. One outfit for all occasions. The older you get, the more younger people, most of the population, make allowances for your social gaps. Like arguing with the grocery clerk about what the price stamp on the Geritol bottle really says. Searching for snatching the last muffin from the church buffet just as the preacher reaches for it. Commenting on the bride's gown, or lack thereof, in a voice that beats the choir for projection. I'm sure she didn't really mean to say that, to say, do, think that. They'll mutter in an appalled whisper. She's old. It's true. With less time on your horizon, you don't waste it on sugar coating. And wouldn't everyone benefit from having one friend who said just what you want at any given moment? Who didn't wait to share a hard truth or honest affection until it was too late? About not removing dead people from my address book. At first it didn't matter so much. It just felt kind of pleasant to have departed friends put in a gentle appearance now and then as I scanned a place, someone breathing. But I realized last night, while addressing Christmas cards, that it had become problematic. Realized that the quiet congregation is gaining on the still very vocal establishment. I wondered how much longer before the dead outnumber the living in these pencil pages. Well, what did you expect? Asks my very living husband. That's just part of getting old. He could have gone a whole year without saying that. Anyway, what's my remedy? Buy a new book and start from scratch? Hope I live long enough to fill up the pages with new friends? X out my missing and be part of their vanishing? Or write in red by their lingering name simply address unknown? Probably I'll take the course of least resistance. Leave them as they are, with their last notes. Make this book just another pocket of memory. Many of them are poets. And most of the rest of them are poets. I lost a very wonderful friend, and the world lost a very marvelous poet last year. I will build you the heaven I deny myself, and it will be furnished with things you loved. For Amy, that postcard you sent, I'm sorry about that, that postcard sent to you by a silent grandmother in Japan, drawn in a child's hand
just rooster, sun, and sky. A mat softened by mountain grasses to protect your feet when you dance barefoot alone. A wood block by Hawkey. Fire dancing with waves. A sauna sun that responds only to your fingers. And a flute of sparrow bone to kiss your lips. That small yellow dragon, citrine talisman you warmed in your palm. Were you holding it last week? And did that yellow dragon carry you to Rio? A place less thrown together and more nourishing, lasting than the hovel I'm making. But perhaps, like me, you don't believe in heaven. Well, how about reincarnation? Come back to us soon, Amy, just as yourself. The world loses its petals without you.
And we couldn't say that everything was very good and Rudy, who drove many, many miles, not the most miles, but many, many miles to be here. So welcoming up my good friend, Aruni, please come up.
I'm at a point now where all the poems I write are about my life, even if they're about Golden Girls.
That's a shit.
So this is vaguely representative of Golden Girls. Picture it. Thank you for being a friend who would volunteer to drive to a frat house in Berkeley so that my brother would have company when he learned of the death of our family dog. Travel down the road in an old Dawson 280Z, stopping at convenience stores and gas stations along I-5 to replenish snacks and take pictures of almond groves exploding pink in the spring. And back again, winding through the Pacheco Pass, wind whipping through the roll-down windows, the Eagles' greatest hits, a soundtrack to our pilgrimage back from camping in the High Sierras, engagement ring linking on my sunburned Buttercups, for what we learn that falling in love is not always. Girls who sit on the school lawn plucking buttercups from between the blades of red fescue, who hold blooms underneath one another's chins, who believe that a yellow glow means an affinity for butter, and don't realize reflected gold is a code of love between girls who don't yet know to still blossoming hearts, too young to understand this flesh, will be redirected to boys who will uproot us and trample small signs of our burgeoning spring. So we abandon our gold in the field where we found it, return to the classroom to sit at desks, row upon row, blood of color. This is about living friends. This is killing time. It starts with an epigraph. You are young and life is long, and there is time to kill today. After Pink Floyd. Another inky Friday in LA, clothed in midnight and old concert t-shirts after a long night of genuine drafts. Last slices of Domino's long gone. Meditation in a darkened den with nothing to light the night but the glow of stereo components and the bulb above the kitchen stove. Dark Side of the Moon revolves, 43-minute cycle, a grudge match, who would bark shins on the coffee table, press the winking CD play button again. Only our only conversation and incredulous, this is a great album, followed by boozy laughter, shifting of styrofoam pellets in beanbag chairs, like the murmur of a vast ocean, tipping balance of our collective conscious, drifting kelp of pre-dawn philosophies waving in the amniotic night. An endless current of small hours, we stay up all night, this scene on repeat. Variation of beers and albums, inconsequential, time irrelevant against our immortality. Jeff, Ron, and I cocooned in our truth of friendship unchanged, ever young as the bright face of the moon above blockbuster video.
coursing through my lips. It's the kind of love that transcends. Each river of time forks through my heart, each chamber yours. Every ventricular beat, a palpable energy of adulation and aphrodisiac breath. My chest expanding into an infinite embrace of you, of love, of every erogenous wrong, turned into a series of rights. Like a binary beat, I am intertwined with you, like the roots of a great basin and bristlecone pine. Every night I survive the flood of course within my body. Love was a mythical figure that has taken form in the shape of you. If I was a golden girl, I'd probably be Blanche anyway, so it's always going to be about sex. All right, beneath the surface. The most primitive of all languages predates the sun and the stars, existed in the universe before Gaia and all her climactic quakes created mountains, before her chaotic rivers carved out each valley. It's the most important truth, the blinding reflection off the turquoise Pacific, the dangerous calm inside our mind, the word, this agreement that set in motion all things, life, the breath of each ineffable idea, the look in your eyes, past the little extinctions and the sacrifice. I never want to stop missing you. Desire is the river inside, the alluvial ache deposits diamonds in my heart. Each facet I chisel out more space and time and a universe of you. We know the harsh realities that are carved into this place. Alone, we traversed our uniquely tragic trails, each enduring the heat and pressure, the forged strength, only someone who has hit rock bottom might know. You have set fire to this stone. I glitter brilliant in your undertow. I decided to write a poem about the Golden Girls, but then the poem told me to fuck off, and I'm going to write a poem about my sorority sister who passed. Okay, so Blanche. Blanche is a feminine name of French origin that means pure. My friend's 20-year-old daughter messaged me last night with the following. Kari, you know and have been through everything. How do I get a restraining order? It began with a smile, she said. Men like when you smile. I told her to start with a police officer, not unlike the man she fears. I did this once as a protective measure. Being a slut is the highest form of vulnerability. But so are bone marrow biopsies and mammograms, the things we never considered when we were young. In college, I had a close group of friends, sorority sisters. As roommates, we called each other the Golden Girls. We were inseparable until time paired us off. The sunsets turned from months to years to decades. A few years back, my sister Joy called out to me. We lost our Rose, our little Sarah. The cause of death was strangulation. No, it was asphyxiation. They ruled it accidental. But we knew. We knew. We knew there had been a man. There had been a man who took her life into his hands. There had been a man who took her life. So as I grow older and complain about the wrinkles that anger in my face, I will think of Sarah and know she will remain beautiful and perfect. Friends are the most beautiful, precious thing we have in this life that is filled with what ifs. But the sun rose this morning on my way to work, a canyon to my right and the mountains to my left. Time has inscribed its crevices into stone, and I know that although friendships may last the length of a smile, my love for all of you encompasses an eternity.
Miss Bridgette, like I have been waiting and waiting to hear it read live, so tonight is a real joy for me. So here goes.
All right, so I did follow directions. I want to read a poem about Golden Girls, but first I want to read a poem about my grandmother, who was my grandmother. And I was like, I didn't want to cry before my poem, but I've already done that. Okay, so here we are. My grandmother is going to be 95 years old this year on her birthday in August, and she has dementia. So she doesn't really know exactly what's going on, but like she knows what's going on. So this is about her. Everyone thinks I don't know what's going on, but I do. To my left, the rest of the world exists outside of my window. A slender something revealing a sliver of the backyard, the sky, and the neighbor's fence in between. I don't hear so well anymore, but I know the sounds already. See, the birds on the tree limb just outside the window frame, the tree might be gone now, but I know the sound. Sometimes I don't remember that the sound isn't there. Isn't the telephone ringing? Isn't my children calling my name? Isn't my mother calling my name? Sometimes I don't remember my name. Sometimes I don't need to because I know the sound. To my right, the world exists outside of my bedroom door. I don't see so well anymore, but I know the faces of my children. I see them come in and lean to kiss my temple. The closer they get, the more I can make out their features. The closer they get, the more I don't recognize their features, but I don't stiffen or shrug away from them because I know the faces of my children are filled with love and tears and grief. Things I recognize more than their features. Everyone thinks I don't know what's going on, but I do. My memory is just outside of the window frame. My memory just turned and walked out of the room, and I am waiting for it to peek in again and call my name and kiss my temple. So that's what I go for. All right, so the next piece I wrote for a friend of mine, a poet named Yellow Woman, who I met in my very first ever gig. And she was a real poet. She had a bio and a fancy headshot, right? A selfie. And she's just amazing. And so Yellow Woman, Golden Girls, you get the vibes here. And so this one is called Woman of the Sun. She shines so bright, everybody glows. Everybody knows she be solar power, she be galaxy deep, she be myth, she be legend, she be secrets to keep. She not of this earth, she be celestial. She sits high heaven, she sees it all, she sees the best in you. She invests in you, she rises and you rejoice with every breath in you. She rises and we bask in the present tense of her. She settles into rest and we wade through the darkest nights, hoping we get to her. Everything bending and stretching to catch a glimpse of her. Everything she desires she will receive because it is meant for her. She shines so bright, the others got to squint for her. Woman of the sun. Maybe she be holy. Maybe she be holy herself. Maybe she be God. Maybe she be creation herself. On the first day, God made light in the darkness. Maybe she created herself. Woman of the sun. So now my assignment. This is a Golden Girls poem. It's also a golden shovel. Who knows what a golden shovel is? Okay, so golden shovel is another piece, and you use it either to begin each line or to end each line, and so I use the song, obviously. Thank you for being a friend. Golden Girls, Golden Shovel. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for running alongside me. Thank you for being my hype man, my amen corner, my board of directors, my pseudo manager. Thank you for being a soft place to land when I fall and a hard place to steady myself as I get back up. Thank you for being a friend to me when I wasn't sure who I was for myself. Thank you for being a friend. Thank God for the little simple things I can do for you without having to be asked for. inbox of memes when the world is being too much and only a well-timed gif of Rose shimmying in her lavender can say, shake it off, and remind you, friend, that you are meant to stand in the brightest light of the sun. So of course there will be shadows near. Thank you for being a friend. You hold my hand when the space between joy and here seems too far a distance to travel. For a person to journey alone, especially when they're down. Being who we are, a pair of Dorothys with a dash of Blanche and you and Rose and me, respectively. This road friend hasn't always been kind to us bossy girls with our big laughs and our loud sighs, and thank goodness for all these years I've had you at my back. You with your smart mouth and sharp tongue bracing me for battle again. For every story we sent careening down the phone lines from your lips to my heart and my lips to your heart. Being your chosen family is a reminder that the sentiment is true. A sister doesn't have to be blood when you're a pal. Friend, you are so much more than a confidant. And if you threw a party, join me please, and invited everyone you knew, you would see the biggest gift would be from me, and the card attached would say, thank you for being a friend.
I have to say, I couldn't ask for a better friend than Bianca, who drove all the way from San Diego, but I really feel like she's a friend from another university. So, Miss Katie Mandy.
I'm so happy to be here. I have laughed, I've cried. It's fantastic. I'm going to start with my Golden Girls poem. So this is, while other girls are princesses, I'm a golden girl. I was born to be old. I spend my days with Granny, weekends with the church ladies whose solos I can mimic so well. My mom hushes me for fear it will appear I'm making fun, but I'm not. I'm just transforming into who I'm meant to be. Now watch as I become the best ladies on TV. I'm Rose with a cat, despite an allergy. That's true from the first episode. Meeting my father in one episode when we're both old. Oblivious smile while I say silly things. I'm Sophia, old enough to get away with death jokes and with saying anything. I'm Dorothy, so quick with a funny insult, but also dropping wisdom that everybody needs. If you don't take a chance, nothing happens. And I'm Blanche, learning about sex so young that I get my own jokes, saying how pretty I am because I need to convince myself. Let's eat cheesecake in the kitchen in the middle of the night. Let's eat racism, sexism, and homophobia for breakfast. Let's make Mickey Rooney rob a bank and catch Dick Van Dyke's eye before he runs off to be a circus clown. Let's be friends. I'll invite you to my party. No need to bring anything but yourself. I'll cry when I open a Barbie because by age 5 I was too old for Barbies. Remind me that crying is for plain women. When I say, isn't it amazing how I can feel so bad and still look so good? Please tell me again, I am golden. I'm just going to do one more poem, and this one is for my very dear friend Jen Stewart, who is also a poet. And I wrote this for her a few years ago when we were both in the throes of mothering young boys. So this is, and it also was in response to her saying that if she was Orpheus leading her loved one from the underworld, she would look back. And I was like, I would not look back. So we have this whole thing. So this is Let's Not Look Back for Jen. Right now, you are collecting your son from his school bus and taking him off to a play date. You want to be with him. You might even want to be with the other moms, but you also feel the presence of that other you, the one who would be writing now, or having a drink with friends without having to keep one eye on vulnerable little bodies. I see that you and you as I see my other me, who sometimes sneaks out of my mouth, like yesterday when a student said she wanted to be just like me, but maybe without kids. I said, that's okay. I love my sons, and I'd never give them back. but I could have been happy without children. I never would have known it because I wanted them so much, but I know now that I didn't need kids to be happy and fulfilled. My friend, I believe you now when you say that you would turn back if you were Orpheus leading your loved one from the underworld. My other holds the hand of your other. Let's let them walk behind us and catch up when they can.
Next up we have Jeremy, who you should know is the inspiration for this reading. So, nobody loves Golden Girls like Jeremy loves Golden Girls, and so we'll bring out the ultimate Golden Girl. Jeremy.
I'm not going to do my own poem, but Recuerdo is one of my favorite, I think, friendship poems that I've ever heard. Do you want to do like maybe like a second stanza?
Sure.
Okay,
I'll
let's
do
go.
it. All right, here we go.
We were very tired, we were very merry. We had gone back and forth all night on the ferry. It was bare and bright and smelled like a stable. But we looked into a fire, we leaned across a table. We lay on the hilltop underneath the moon, and the whistles kept blowing, and the dawn came soon.
We were very tired. We were very merry. We had gone back and forth all night on the ferry, and you ate an apple and I ate a pear from a dozen of each we had brought somewhere. And the sky went wan, and the wind came cold, and the sun rose dripping, a bucket full of gold.
We were very tired, we were very merry. We had gone back and forth all night on the ferry. We hailed, "Good morrow, mother," to a shawl-covered head, and bought the morning paper which neither of us read. She wept, "God bless you," for the apples and pears, and
we gave her all our money, but our subway fare.
Okay, so I'm going to be reading Blanche's part.
And I will translate Blanche in the voice of Dorothy.
Yeah.
There we go.
Even the heavens hellfire couldn't withstand the river frost that cascaded down the hills of my body.
I'm getting older.
The sharpest knife forged in the hottest flames won't be able to cut through the thick passion emitting from the bottom of my heart.
She's saying I'm horny.
Like the fatal blossom of the graceful Jimson weed, I enticed with my fragrance, but can provide no succor.
But I'm not a lesbian.
The mighty dam burst forth, and the insidious drought turned into a great flood that even Noah wouldn't survive.
I finally got some.
Despite the many curveballs and vagaries that life threw my way, I never lost a sense to appreciate the furry gift.
Batteries are included.
There's nothing like feeling the dews of the fresh spring morning, representing an obstinate hope that starts the year anew.
I never wear underwear.
From that vantage point, I saw the capricious depths of men that test God's limits with a casual abandon of predilection hidden in plain sight.
I can do a lot of things lying down.
They were like animals, tearing, panting, swiping at my clothes. At midnight, they even bathed at the moon.
I enjoyed that bar.
I felt the glory of the great Smoky Mountains as they rise for the mist of the Carolina dawn.
I went to a sleazy motel on a date.
I could not describe the colors of the monarch butterfly spreading its wing as it emerges from the miracle of the cocoon.
I got him to pay for half the motel.
He was like the sturdy cypress, reaching heavenward, tall and mighty and proud.
I think that one is self-explanatory.
Life is there for us to enjoy. I have consumed consumed and feathered against the stern horns of a minotaur, the supple barks of a dryad, the velvety claws of a druid.
Men are my hobby.
Alone, I am as seductive as an orchid, but together, we are a forest that can withstand a hurricane.
But friends are forever. Once again, this is, I'm really grateful. I love the friends that I've made in poetry. I'm so grateful for all of that. I have a poem from my new book and then a closing poem that's Golden Girl-ish, I suppose. And so, love at age 11. This was the year. I was never a boy. I just didn't want to be a girl. And you, Jehovah's Witness, didn't want to be gay. But it was the 6th grade, and there was a dance. The librarian, vice principal, and PE coach, fresh divorcees in dated beehives and second boob jobs, were teaching us how to do the hustle, like our hips depended on it. I got to teach art that year. You taught math, while the grown-ups smoked in the parking lot. I guess everyone has a list of what they don't want to be, but are. You went against God and filled my dance card. I sprained your ankle. This was the year I wore 2 silver turquoise rings on each finger. This is the year you were whipped with a garden hose in the shed out back. This was the year food stopped arriving in my cupboards. This is the year our parents fell asleep and kept sleeping. This was the year we fought until we bled into one body and became, against all odds, brothers. I grew up in a place called Utah, and I think that's all the explanation you need for this. Okay, the other thing is I want to quote Jeremy's friend, Danny, who isn't here, but he's going to watch the recording later, so I'm going to call you out. Danny, you're not here. But Danny said something over drinks that I thought was really eye-opening, and he said, do you know why the Golden Girls still work as a show? And then he answered his own question for me. He said, it's because misogyny still exists.
Oh, thanks to narcissists.
We love you, Danny. All right, so it's a 3-part poem, so here we go. 1, let me tell you a story, an American story, meaning it will seem somewhat impossible and occurs somewhere east of California and west of New York. It will involve a cult or a religion or some sort of God penetrating into everything around it. In any case, I will be the kid in the story, and the kid is watching Golden Girls with her grandmother. 2, I'd just gotten back from a field trip. It's the 4th grade, and they bussed us out to a farm where the prophet sent his older wives to take care of the cows and the children. Put out to pasture, I believe is how they say it. Here, a woman makes butter and cleans linens. 3, I tell my grandmother, who looks at me over her gin rummy hand. She titties her cards to avoid cheating. She tells me after I'm done working for men, there will be butter and linens, clean linens. She tells me to watch the Golden Girls and consider holding my cards closer to my chest. Thank you.